Okay. Hello again, everyone. Thanks for joining us in the session 8 of HealthTech Mastery with SIRE. Today we have Sanjay, the HealthTech startup founder. We have Reza Mostafavi, medical doctor, CEO of Swift Lifesaver, and Nicole Troster, the founder and CEO at Coeurage Labs, as our judges. This is the session 8, and we are expecting one more session. But before we start the session, I have to give you a notice about filming, photography, the copyright of all the material of these events, and we are not responsible for accuracy or correctness of whatever told here by our startup pitchers or judges. We have planned for one more online session on August 7th, next Thursday, from 7 to 8 p.m. And I wonder if you could register using this link. And if anybody wants to have an online pitch deck presentation, please book your time using this link shown here, https://innovate.ca, book pitch. And the other heads up is our Technonet Summit 4 happening on October 19th. In the same area of Fairview Theatre, North York, Ontario. We start this event from 2 p.m. or 2:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And if you want to have any contribution in pitch deck competition in our panel or any as an audience, please let me know to arrange it. Okay, any questions about our plans? And I forgot to tell you that the reason of having this online pitch deck mastery sessions is that we want to prepare people for the pitch deck competition in Summit 4. And as Sanjay told, Sanjay and other people will be our competitors in this summit, and this will help them to get prepared for this pitch deck presentation in our events. Okay, any questions for me? No? Okay, so before I start the presentation by Sanjay, I wonder if Reza and Nicole, our judges, first introduce yourself, and then Sanjay starts his deck. Okay, Nicole, Reza, whoever, go ahead.
After you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Reza. So my name is Nicole Troster. I'm the founder and CEO of Coeurage Labs. And I've also worked in the ecosystem for about 15 years in different capacities. I was a lobbyist and spokesperson for the largest advocacy group for small and medium-sized businesses. I've worked in provincial government. And for the last 7 years, I've been working in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, helping to advise companies about how to scale their companies. And I've worked at many different universities, York University, where I started an accelerator for women entrepreneurs. I've also worked at University of Waterloo, Toronto Metropolitan University, and now I'm working with another university as well. So that's just a little bit about me. Really happy to be here and to learn more about this company.
Thanks, Nicole. Reza, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reza. I'm the CEO and the lead instructor in Swift Lifesaver. Swift Lifesaver is not a startup company, but I'm involved with a couple of R&D projects. One of the projects I'm working right now is doing chest compressions inside, like not outside external chest compressions, internal chest compressions. That's why I'm very interested in the simulation and how it can replace clinical trials. That makes me very excited about the presentation tonight. Reza from Swift Lifesaver.
Thanks, Reza. Okay, Sanjay, you can start after you finish your presentation. I welcome our judges to give you feedback, and once they are done, the other participants can give their comments or feedback to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Here's me sharing my screen. Please let me know if you do not see my shared screen. So I'm on slide number 1 over here, which is showing something that we recently accomplished, and I'm quite proud of this. Our company is a life sciences innovation company, and it's summarily called MVT in Silico, and I'm the CEO and founder of this company. And what is shown on this slide is a computer model of a microneedle drug delivery system on the top left, and on the bottom right is shown my very crude replica of something called a microfluidic device that I actually 3D bioprinted in Toronto a few weeks ago. And so with that, before beginning, I would like to plug my tomorrow's event here, which is called Dreams, Grinding Gears, and Overcoming Barriers in the spirit of creativity. And this is to be held in Western Research Parks, around about 1 o'clock tomorrow. It runs for about 2 hours, and we will really appreciate you joining us for the event. So our event is called Dreams, Grinding Gears, and Overcoming Barriers, aka what are our visions, our drivers, our motivations, how we have our approaches towards building our businesses and solving our challenges, routine and not so routine. And there are 4 companies participating in this event tomorrow. And so a brief company introduction is as follows. I am the founder of this company. I summarily have a PhD in applied mathematics from many, many, many years ago. I also have experience in science software development as well as device development. So at the onset, I would like to sort of kick it off by expressing my thorough and sincere gratitude to our ever-increasing spectrum of collaborators, partners, advisors, supporters, and we are extremely grateful for all of their inputs to the progress of our company. Now with that, the purpose and approach of MVT in Silico, our company, is pretty straightforward. So we are a life sciences operator. In the long run, we want to sort of develop our own innovations in the biomedical treatment space, human treatment space. And we want to do this for underserved diseases. Most companies are chasing solutions for widespread and high-value diseases such as oncology and cardiovascular diseases. Yet we choose to go after more meaningful, something more personal to us, such as diseases that affect women. And presently, we are driving our progress by providing services in terms of something called safety and efficacy assessment that is both cost-effective and delivered at speed to our clients. Now, to do this, what we do is we use a combination of our extensive computer modeling and simulation expertise, and we combine that with non-animal methods to generate much more robust and reliable evidence towards our and our clients' biomedical innovations. This combination is summarily called new alternative methodologies by the landscape and the ecosystem. But fine, current practices do de-risk the biomedical research and development at each stage of discovery, animal testing, and clinical trials. But as Reza has just said, we believe, we know that we can do much better. That is, have much more reliable evidence for our R&D at a much lower cost and much more quickly, all being well. And that is the purpose of our company. Now, to summarize the problem, here's a slide that summarizes what we have. Here's a few problems. Here's a few sort of features of the problem we are trying to address here. Now, conventional research and development has several problems, and all of those are addressable using our methods, using our expertise. And those problems could be summarized as conventional R&D prototyping and animal testing is highly expensive, resource intensive. It's not easy at all to translate from human to animal, which adds a time-consuming component to it. And quite often, because several issues are not anticipated and resolved at early stage, the complete R&D pipeline remains high risk, and recent news is evidence showing that any small amount of negative data definitely kills the product which has been so far developed using lots of resources. And so with that, to drive the point home a little bit more, here's a sobering example in that all of us know that women's physiology is quite resilient. Women are highly resilient to disease-induced perturbations. But in contrast, paradoxically, women are also the section of society who experience the worst of health outcomes. They die much more than men. And this is in Canada. This is a very recent observation. And so we want to do our part in such underserved but highly relevant areas to the best of our abilities. And we intend to extend our abilities to the best of our limits. And so with that, something encouraging has started emerging from the regulatory landscape, in that our new alternative methods are now being highly suggested by regulatory agencies such as the Food and Drug Administration, the National Institute of Health, as well as out in Europe, the UK Innovate Centres, and in the European Union, the medical devices regulators. And all of them, they are suggesting roadmaps. They are even suggesting bills, which we expect to become law and compliance requirements in the near future. So today is excellent timing for MVT in Silico to start its affairs, to get on the growth trajectory as soon as possible. And to drive the point home even more, this is a table that appeared in a FDA report summarizing the kind of R&D which is based upon our kind of approach, computer modeling and simulation, and non-animal methods, but human-like devices that they are willing to accept. And in fact, they have clauses in their forms and documents which request such evidence. Shown in the pink boxes are our capabilities that we are ready and prepared, well tested to provide services upon. Just to name a few: solid mechanics, fluid dynamics, animal to human extrapolation, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, in silico clinical trials, and related sort of animals here. So this is, again, an indication of the opportunity that we intend to capitalize upon. Now, with that, how to do this is illustrated briefly and crudely on this slide, in that my short-term goal, for the June of 2026, is to establish a laboratory which will consist of a large or manageable supercomputer. And that computer will have all our computer simulations. We will perform all our computer simulations in that. We will have knowledge bases in that computer, using which we will provide soul-searching solutions to our clients and our own innovations. Of course, there's always a layer of artificial intelligence that goes into this. And all this virtual testing, simulations, and prediction will be validated using our real-world, human-like experimental systems driven by stem cells, essentially stem cells. So stem cells embedded in organs on chips, organoids, and human-like in vitro systems is what we have just finished designing. This summer, we spent designing all of this. And the next step will be to actually translating this into physical objects that become parts of our laboratory next year. So this is the platform off of which our innovations will be developed. That's fine. And so I'll take this opportunity to bash AI a little bit with your permission. There's a difference between computer modeling and simulation and ordinary artificial intelligence, at least in our minds. And I should emphasize the word ordinary artificial intelligence here. And so, in our opinion, feed ordinary artificial intelligence anything as elegant and as beautiful as a Jackson Pollock. And the best it has given me so far, and this is a very recent experience from last week, and I'm going to show you another piece of evidence for that, is that ordinary AI, as opposed to useful AI, is simply good for, say, for example, making us giggle a little bit, make us smile a little bit, cause a little bit of dopamine release, and make us feel satisfied about ourselves. So as opposed and as a real world confirmation, here's what ordinary AI did to my image. So on the left is my picture. We managed to push it through a readily available artificial intelligence large language model, and out came a really, really good-looking caricature. Now you may agree that my photo does not look half as good as what the AI has generated. But that's not what the artificial intelligence that we intend to use is supposed to be doing here. It's supposed to be giving us meaningful outcomes of our unanswered questions in hard to address questions, such as flimsily investigated women's diseases. But fine. And so as a more serious piece of evidence that our approach is better than current industry standards is illustrated on this slide, where on the left-hand side, a benchmarking study that the outcomes of which I witnessed recently in April in Montreal are shown on the left-hand side, while the outcomes of our knowledge-driven computer modeling and simulation are compared on the right-hand side in the pink boxes. And so machine learning apparently provides a acceptable but low confirmation success in biotechnology. In contrast, our knowledge-driven computer modeling and simulation does have a higher success rate in biotechnology kinds of exercises. Admittedly, this ordinary AI is comparatively easier, is comparatively straightforward to implement, and in comparison, our structure and physics-based, knowledge-based, biology-based, chemistry-based investigation is not so easy to do. But a very natural outcome of it is that there is a higher chance of success using our kind of virtual testing prior to sending it for experimental validation. And so we have adopted the pink boxes. The pink boxes now, incidentally, are our company's materials, never mind drug discovery, just materials discovery workflow. And so with that, one of our key features, one of our key core principles of the company is as follows, is that never mind machines, never mind automation, artificial intelligence, mechanization, they are here to stay. They will go nowhere. And this was known to people as long ago as in Karl Marx's days. But people remain our infrastructure. So we are high tech, we are computer models, simulations, non-animal methods, organoids, microfluidic devices, but at the center of this is people. People is our infrastructure. And so with that, it is also known. Now, unfortunately, I do not have original data to show you regarding this comparison between conventional research and development and our approach, but this is the outcome of a recent benchmarking study done by a group in the UK, Manchester. And in comparison to conventional research and development, our approach does address a very large number of issues right at discovery stage, as shown on the left-hand side of this graph here. So vertical axis is issues resolved, and horizontal axis is the product IP development stage. And right at the onset, our approach, new alternative methods approach, resolves a large number of issues. Admittedly, the cost benefit here is acceptable. It's not large, but it's acceptable. Fine. But as soon as we move on to the animal testing stage, the cost saving, never mind the time saving, increases manifold, a lot. And this has been done by a very large consortium out there. And so we choose to believe the outcomes of their study. And the cost savings at clinical trial stage is even further, to the point where we are now, MVT in silico is now in a position where we are able to at least streamline the control arms of clinical trials, if not totally eliminate control arms of clinical trials. And we have physical evidence to show for that, which is not up for discussion today. But fine, so with all of this set up, so we will have a lab, we know that our approach is going to work. And so as phase one, for the next several months, we choose to focus on underserved diseases in the women's disease sector, in the femtech sector. That's what's driving our progression. Even if we focus on femtech, we have the opportunity to explore all kinds of physics and biologies and computer sciences in this. On the sort of meaning of this slide is that, never mind femtech, within femtech, we are also supposed to be paying close attention to subtle differences, such as people from North America as opposed to people from South America, as opposed to people from Africa and elsewhere. And so with that, here's what is, here's the crux of the matter. Here's what's going on right now. What's going on right now are three projects. The first project, as illustrated on the left-hand side, both computer model and the microfluidic device, is a drug delivery system that we are optimizing for our client, and that is related to female infertility treatment success assessment. Fine. The second project that is ongoing is illustrated in the middle, and it has to do with adverse drug reactions to non-prescription drugs that young people, teenagers, teenage women and girls can pick up from local pharmacies in light of undiagnosed, hard to diagnose diseases such as endometriosis and its cousins. Now, illustrated on the right-hand side is our third and high-value illustrative project, where we are running an in silico clinical trial to highlight, firstly, our process of how we are doing our in silico trials to make the process repeatable and therefore scalable. And that also will account for formalizing our relationship with our academic partners. And so with that, a little bit more information about our beta projects is over here. So our beta testing projects are at various stages of progress. And I'm happy to announce that we have achieved certain milestones, internal milestones at least. And we expect to disclose our first, at least provisional patent as soon as Christmas this year, as soon as Q4 this year. The second product patent disclosure may happen in Q3 of next year, and I'm hopeful of that happening sooner than that. For the in silico clinical trial, I will keep my ambitions limited and just call it as an open source publication. And I'm pretty convinced inside of myself that is going to lead to some protectable IP, but I'm not willing to sort of claim that yet. And so with that, with all of this going on, I have realized one really, really important thing in the business, that is to do sales. And I'm happy to announce and sort of admit that I'm no salesman. So now it is time to keep calm and start learning the tricks of the sales processes and all the intricacies of it. And with that, an opportunity that already is available to us is illustrated on this slide. The large green circle here shows the disappointment of large enterprise with the lack of innovation within their ecosystems. So the Johnson & Johnsons, the Merricks, the Amgens keep looking for meaningful and useful innovations in their pipelines. And according to this respected sort of market research agency in part, almost 64% find it really difficult. And that is also an indication of perfect timing for a company like ours. And that is an opportunity for us. So long and short is that we are going to chase enterprise customers here because that is what is essential for fueling the future of MVT in Silico. Also, to mention, the US market is an excellent starting point. So it's no surprise that most medtech, biotech, and life sciences companies do seek US markets, admittedly. Now, perhaps private insurance is a driving factor. Private insurance is a magnificent thing, obviously, as shown by this percentage expenditure of GDP as compared between the US and Canada. However, we have to be wary of the landscape, and we have to know how to navigate through the ecosystem. There will always be hurdles and barriers. Yep. And so there's always policy and legislation that we have to overcome. And so this is something that came up not 2 days ago. This was announced by a apparently respectable rag called the Wall Street Journal. And so this may be an opportunity for us, but in the very least, I believe that this is something that this is a little bit of a barrier that we are going to have to overcome to make headways into our target markets. And so, as I said, it's a business to business. And so this is a business about business to business. And so we have products, and we are a contract research organization to get started. That's fine. And so our activities in the next few months are going to be as follows. We are going to be keenly seeking close relationships with academic partners, because that knowledge is what drives our computer modeling and simulation. Our knowledge-driven R&D pipelines are firmly anchored in that. But secondly, we are going to be looking for meaningful relationships with small and medium enterprises, people who are 2, 5, 10, 100 steps ahead of us. And examples that come to mind are Eli Health, a company that have developed a hormone detection test kit. Come to mind is a upcoming without sort of any problem, a unicorn, Maman Corporation. But the big bucks are going to come from enterprise relationships. Now, from the services that we provide, 3 examples that I have no hesitation in mentioning is that Merrick, Merrick in the USA, as well as in Germany, Nanion in Germany, and a much larger sort of enterprise company called In Silico Medicine, all have space and programs that can benefit from our services. So those are the relationships that we will be seriously pursuing at the earliest opportunity, that is starting tomorrow. And so with that, our ask is pretty straightforward. I'm looking to set up my team. I'm looking to make as many friends in the medical profession as I can help it. I need all the help I can get. I'm also looking to put together a spectrum of skills: sales skills, marketing skills, management skills, process skills, project management skills, because my essential skills are in technology. We are looking to build our reputation. We are looking to establish widespread partnerships, undertake co-developments, and our one of our primary premises is to do good, and therefore we will participate in open source rare diseases activities, rare diseases R&D activities, and there has to be something to fuel all of this. And so we have, I hope we have a few conversations, initial, very preliminary conversations with investors coming up in the next few weeks or so. And cross our fingers, wish us well, we land somewhere on our feet, if not completely in the pink. And so, obviously, everywhere, all the stakeholders will have a say in how this company evolves, and I hope they appreciate what drives us today. And so with that, the summary is that women's health treatments is a very large market. It's a very large sector. We can do many, 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 many innovative things. But obviously, this is a business, and we have to make our minds up on what we're going to do tomorrow, next week, and so on. And therefore, innovation in the lab, innovation lab is designed to function within FemTech. And to fuel all this, we are now raising funds to help ourselves. And any help is appreciated. And with that, thank you for your attention and your patience. I apologize if I fumbled some, but I'll do my best to answer any and all questions that are put forth.
Well, thanks, Sanjay, for the great presentation. Actually, it was not a pitch deck presentation. That was an academic presentation. But that's great. So please, Nicole and Reza, give your feedback.
Reza, I'll invite you to start.
After you, the stage is yours, Nicole.
No, please go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, thank you. That was an interesting presentation. I really enjoyed it, but I'm a little bit biased because I like modeling and simulation, and that's why I'm a little bit too excited about the modeling and simulation. Let's start with, the problem statement was well framed. That was perfect. I start with the ask. You asked for 1.5 million, but I didn't get the equity. How much equity? How much is the valuation of the company? That's one of the fundamental things.
Today, the company is valued at nothing.
Still, because every startup has a valuation.
Sure. And so, without giving away any secrets, the investor that I'm going to talk to in August has promised to generously educate me on the valuation process. We also have advice from experts like yourselves, hopefully Dariush, and some people from the Kitchener-Waterloo area. So we have advisors who are on the case. So we are working. We have certain non-negotiables, in that this kind of thing never going to take off without enterprise support. And so all the pipelines need to be worked out to super refine details at each step.
Great. Okay, so you're on the right track for evaluation. And the other thing, I want to talk about two things. One thing is scalability, because at the end of the day, your service is a CRO service, right?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
It's a CRO service, and CRO service is very contingent and dependent on the expertise, your expertise and knowledge. Yep. So the question is, how can you replicate this expertise, and how can you make this scalable as a startup? This is one of the things I want to discover more. Feel free to answer it right now, or maybe after the second note. The second note I have is regarding the it's like a philosophical question about medical philosophical question. That's the concern I have, and it's a general concern. It's not explicitly referring to your presentation, and that's the concern about simulation and modeling versus evidence-based medicine, because medicine is an evidence-based discipline.
Absolutely.
And how can we trust simulation and modeling over clinical trials? For some areas, I can understand that, like pharmacokinetics, as you mentioned, but how about pharmacovigilance? How about the adverse effects? Yeah, these are my two questions.
Yep. So to go to your first question, sorry, I forgot your first question. Sorry.
The first question was referring to scalability.
Yes, pardon me. So in terms of scalability, Doc, so I mean, I'm sure something is going to happen and I will change my mind, but we have full intention of going after large enterprise contracts. Now, these contracts are extremely long-term and they are extremely high value. Now, I am not privy to how much the high value is, but I recently was at a trade show in Vancouver where I learned that the typical sort of time scale of these relationships between large enterprise and my kind of company is 20 years, 30 years. And the value of that contract runs into tens of millions. So we are not really looking for a spectrum of clients here. We have to diligently apply ourselves to make a meaningful relationship with those 2 or 3 companies, the Merrick or the Nanions or in Silico trials. And that's that. Now, coming to your second concern, and I share that concern with you. It's a very valid question. And I have spent 6 years working in the depths of a hospital called London Health Sciences Centre, Victoria Hospital. And I totally understand how medical doctors are trained and must think legally, They are bound to think so. And so evidence-based medicine is not going anywhere. However, at the early stages of prototyping and of animal testing, there is a large amount of resource wastage, time waste, and that percolates as a large expense. Now, this is not just me saying it. I wish it was just me saying it, but it's not just me saying it. There is upcoming literature that is saying all these things. Now, there is also more sort of creative and maybe not so creative, rather more reliable literature that is also coming up, in that there are now prescriptions on how to go about using computer modeling and simulations to generate information, data, and evidence, which will streamline the clinical trial process. Now, we have just finished one of our several cycles of researching the literature and learning from the literature. And there are very strong sort of indications and evidence that this kind of thing is going to work. Now, beyond just academic literature, I will give you 2 examples. The first is a company out in Vancouver called Voxel Biosciences. They are now extremely successful in use of these non-animal methodologies to address certain critical oncology issues. They are going after breast cancers and brain cancers, basically. The second, more relevant example is that there is a large enterprise called Bayer. So never mind the use of microfluidic plastic devices or anything like that. Bayer now have an internal computer modeling and simulation clinical trial pipeline. And this report just came out last month. And what Bayer are looking for is they are now looking to fill in the gaps in the pipeline that they are trying to set up there. They have many pipelines for many drugs, for many indications, and so they are now looking for expertise to fill in the gaps for those services.
That's great.
So industry adaptation has just started, and so it will be a crying shame if we don't jump into the water now.
Yeah, awesome. So I don't want to hijack the session. So Nicole, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Reza, and great questions. I certainly, concur with you on the scalability side. That's certainly a question that came up for me. Sanjay, if I can be very, very frank with you, I've seen many health tech companies, and I don't think I would classify your company as a typical health tech startup, in the sense that I do very much interpret it as being you're a service provider, and you're providing services to other companies until such point that you develop your own solutions that you kind of talked about.
Yep.
In which case you could fit into the more traditional health tech profile at that point,
Yep.
where you're developing product and you're selling product and scaling very, very quickly. So that's something to be very, very mindful of, especially as you meet with investors, because from their perspective, they're going to want to understand how are you going to grow from where you are now in a very quick way to make those tens of millions of dollars that you talked about in terms of enterprise contracts. So being able to articulate that very succinctly is very, very important. I think there's a lot of information in your deck. It's clear that you spent a lot of time doing research and putting the deck together. I think you could be more succinct in how you deliver your presentation. And I think the fact that you're searching for support through SIRE and other organizations is really, really important. I think you need to invest in your education around building a pitch deck and being able to deliver your pitch very, very succinctly. I think in terms of like the problem statement, you iterated the problem statement in a number of different ways. I think that bubble graph that you showed with the potential in terms of that green bubble with all of the blue bubbles that kind of talk about those main problems, that was such a great visual to really understand the size of the problem and to compare it to some of the other problems. But visually, the audience gets a really good, fast understanding of what you're conveying, and making sure that you're articulating this in a way that people can understand, using statistics, using dollar amounts to understand what is it costing these companies to go the traditional route versus going with your CRO. So articulating very, very clearly that your value proposition is about increasing success rates, increasing speed to market, and reducing costs. Like just making sure that you're very clearly articulating those benefits to the companies that you're working with and to investors. I think that's really, really important. I think, the possibility of developing some of your own solutions is very, very exciting. And certainly that will be very exciting to investors because the commercial potential. I guess some of the questions, I didn't see a slide talking about the team. And I'm very curious to understand, like, what are the core competencies of the team? Why is this the right team to lead the organization? And how does it relate to the markets that you're trying to get into? Like, does anybody have, I know you mentioned that you're trying to hire for a number of positions, including sales. Like, you'll obviously, if you're going to focus on B2B enterprise sales, you'll want somebody with expertise in selling in that environment to make sure that you can get those high value contracts that will help you to scale and grow. But I think it would be beneficial for us to understand more about your team and what their level of expertise is.
Yep.
And then in terms of like, I think the regulatory argument for the fact that so many jurisdictions are pointing to, the alternative methods, I think that's such a great validation for the need for your business. So again, putting that front and center, because you validate the need for your business, you dice it many different ways throughout the presentation. I think one or two, as opposed to the 4 reasons that you kind of talked about, is sufficient to convey how important it is that, your company raise funding and come to market from that perspective.
Less is more.
Less is absolutely more. And then I would just invest in your time into getting trained up on how to deliver the pitch deck, working
Yep.
with an incubator or accelerator program
Yep.
that can help you understand what the steps are, how to get there, and somebody who has specific knowledge in the health system is going to be really, really important, because the trajectory is very different than,
Yep.
you know, more generic like tech firms and things
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
I'm also curious about the focus on femtech, and if there's anybody on the team that specializes in femtech in any capacity, or like why femtech?
Femtech is because so this sort of, my response to this would sort of muddle up with a opinion about the other things as well, in that the scalability data for my company is being garnered. So I'm working out how much time it takes, what dollar amounts I can put on it, what my burn rate is, and how much resources I have to put to everything through my beta testing project with this company called Maman Biomedical. Maman is a femtech, and she has convinced me to go down the route of drug delivery systems for in vitro fertilization. And I apologize, I call it femtech. It could just as well be called injections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but femtech is something close to my heart. I've had people in my family who have suffered, who should not have suffered, and that was on, at least partly because of the kinds of ineffective treatments available. There is a much bigger problem also in the landscape, but I'm not going to talk about that now. But yes, I mean that's the reason for femtech.
That's
And
interesting that you
latching on to femtech is excuse enough for me to go down all routes: fluid dynamics, biotech, the drug interactions, the protein interactions, the drug protein interactions, all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do everything under the guise of femtech.
So one thing that you could do with your pitch is that story that you just shared with us, for example, around how you've been personally affected. You know, people who are very close to you have been affected. You can start with that, but then you can also talk about, for example, the existing solutions and how there's a gap in existing solutions being able to diagnose or what have you, the problems, right? And that results in, for example, let's say, just for example's sake, 200,000 deaths across Canada every year, or 4 million deaths across North America every year, because the diagnostic tools or other tools are not adequate to diagnose the problems, right? So that's one way to kind of convey the story in a very succinct and powerful way. I think another question that came up for me is the revenue potential. Investors are absolutely going to want to know what the revenue potential is. And I find that, if you're able to kind of integrate that, I understand that you're going through doing the calculations, doing the valuation, doing all of that stuff. But if you can even borrow from other companies, I saw your other pitch deck and you show some of the competitors, right? Mm-hmm. You can point to some of those successes as a benchmark for what your company could do, as long as there's enough similarity in terms of what you're doing, to point to investors about what the revenue potential could be or what the valuation could be, until you have your own data.
So as I said, I apologize, and these slides are prepared for firstly ourselves today, as well as the university audience tomorrow. And if I go saying I expect to make 5 billion in 1 week, they're just going to lose interest. And if I say I'm drawing parallels with other companies, they're just going to say you are not there yet. So is the reason why I sort of refrain from putting down any even sort of approximate numbers.
I understand what you're saying, Sanjay.
But I appreciate that. in August, I will have a pitch deck, which will have all this information. And apart from yourself, Nicole, there is another advisor and pitch deck coach in the Accelerator Center, Kitchener, who is on this case. So she spends about three hours every week with me.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. Thank you.
But I really appreciate everything that you've said. I'll try to process and digest and implement all your suggestions, as well as Reza's suggestions. And I'm convinced that I'll be better for it.
Thanks, Nicole, Reza, for your wonderful feedback. Anybody else has anything to add? Any comments or feedback on Sanjay's presentation?
If there is no any other comment, I just want to add 2 quick notes.
Yes,
One note is your comment about sales. That you mentioned that you don't have experience with sales. I think you are a good storyteller, and sales is nothing but storytelling. So I think you can leverage your storytelling skills and incorporate that into your pitch deck, as Nicole mentioned, just to echo what Nicole said about the storytelling, how to incorporate that into your pitch deck. And I really like your quote on Karl Marx. Honestly, it is very ironic because fundraising and the startup ecosystem is very capitalistic in nature. So quoting from Karl Marx is very paradoxical. So I really liked it. Yeah, these are 2 cents from me.
I'm going to use all of that.
You're on mute. Sanjay, are you talking?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, you're not. Okay, any other comments? Okay, just I have one so minor comment, Sanjay. So that for the pitch deck presentation, so it has to be very shorter time. So our time was supposed to be 10 to 12 minutes. In our Summit 4, we will give around 7 minutes to the startup pitchers. So this pitch deck was very long. Maybe investors don't like to so spend this much time on your presentation, listening to your presentation.
I apologize.
That's fine. That's, as I told you, that was a very great academic presentation. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone. Our next pitch deck presentation is on next Thursday. I wonder if you register and attend and help us in progressing in this journey.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Reza. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Nicole.